Hi friends, let us welcome back to our channel, that is Point Out. So as a part of ncert series, so we have completed understanding marginalization. Okay, today we are going to moving for new chapter, that is confronting marginalization. That is confronting marginalization. So let us revisit what is marginalization. Okay, so we have seen Adivasis marginalization, we have seen Muslims marginalization. Next we have seen minorities marginalization. Next further we have seen social marginalization. It majorly happens because the size will be the ultimate factor. Because of the minority, so majority of the chances they are becoming the marginalization. This is the first one. Next one will be because of their unique traditions, because of their unique culture, okay, because of the language they spoke. So taking it as an excuse, okay, taking it as an excuse. So they are projecting, the majority people were projecting them in different perspective of view. Different perspective of view because of the difference. So these marginalized people were lacking the resources, opportunities, so they are losing basic amenities, while parallelly, so the majority of the people, they were taking the upper hand on the minority people, marginalized people. They are holding power, they are holding financial power, they are grabbing the opportunities. While they were struggling for the basic amenities, these people were leading a rich lifestyle. So because of that, these people were excluded from this. So this process is nothing but marginalization. Okay, this process is nothing but marginalization. So in the last class we have concluded that marginalization is a complex phenomenon. Okay, complex phenomenon. It should want to be tackled. So in this lesson we are going to see how marginalization tackled. But before going to that, we need to know what is the essence or what is the need to tackle the marginalization. Okay, so we have seen because of the marginalization they lost the dignity of life and they were exploited, they were dominated by the people, they lost grabbing opportunities, and they were struggling for the basic amenities such as water, shelter and food. So because of that constant exploitation, so marginalized should be solved, it should wanted to be resolved. Okay, so because of that, confronting of marginalization taken place. So in this chapter we are going to see how marginalization issue was resolved by different communities. That is either Dalit marginalization, how they resolved, Adivasis marginalization, how they resolved, and Muslims marginalization, how they resolved. Okay, we are in this lesson we are going to see the confronting, that means how they addressed the marginalization. Okay, today's topic is how they addressed. So in the last class we have seen two marginalizations, that is Adivasis marginalization and further we have seen Muslim community marginalization. Okay. Marginalization. So because of that marginalization, they faced many hardships and struggles. Okay. So to tackle that, they used many strategies or many techniques to tackle such incident. Okay. The first approach will be, first they try to improve themselves. So for that, they try to invest on education. They tried to improve their literacy rate. Parallelly, they were started protest against the exploitation. Okay. So these people confronted through different strategies. Through different strategies. First one will be, so they improved themselves. They invested that on education and literacy rate. So they immensely participated in protests against the exploitation. Okay. So they protested against exploitation. And they used armed struggles. Armed struggles. So they tried to improve their economic conditions. Okay. Gradually they are trying to shift their economy. So in such a way, these strategies were used to confront. Okay. So in this lesson, we are going to see confrontation of marginalization. Okay, confrontation or addressing of marginalization. So the first one will be using the fundamental rights provided by the Constitution. Okay, fundamental rights provided by the Constitution. So people are becoming aware about the fundamental rights. They are getting the knowledge regarding the fundamental rights, how to access them. So they constantly putting pressures on the system to if any violation taken place against their fundamental rights. So they started putting pressure on the system. They started retaliating against the state to get the to access the fundamental rights. So this is the first technique they used, and second one will be up to enforcement. Okay, up to enforcement, they show the level of seriousness will be very high. So they made them such efforts to implement that. So to enforce that acts and laws. Okay, so this is the first technique. And second technique, so they protested in such a way, such that with respect to the fundamental rights, okay, with respect to the fundamental rights, they are introduced new laws and policies to resolve that inequality and to provide the justice for the people. Okay, so they protested in such a way, such that their rights turned into laws. turned into laws. In such a way, they protested. So in this lesson, we are going to see how laws or policies are made so to resolve the marginalization, okay, through by various communities. How Dalit marginalization resolved, then how cultural and educational marginalization. So we will see several cases. So now let's see. So how people were confronted using fundamental rights. Okay, fundamental rights. Using fundamental rights. So we have studied in our 8th class first chapter, that is our constitution. We have discussed it that moment. That is, our constitution provide fundamental rights irrespective of the caste or religion or gender or sex or creed. There is no discrimination. Okay, so raising that point, many people were demanding enforcement of fundamental rights. Okay, so they are demanding enforcement of rights. So this is the first technique. So now let's see with an example. So we all know untouchability. So it's a olden day practice where higher caste people and lower caste people differentiation is created. So because of that, so upper caste people followed the untouchability. So they shown their cruelty on them. Okay. So they didn't allow to touch them. They didn't allow to enter into temples. They didn't allow to access the public things. Even they didn't allow to drink the water. So such things were taken place. Okay. So constitution addressed this issue. So Dalit people, they were raised their voice against the system. So because of that, constitution provided according to the article 17, so prohibition of untouchability. If anyone follows the untouchability, it's against the law and it considered as a crime. Okay. So according to this law, so there is no prohibition. So each and everyone should access the public facilities. Each and everyone should enter into the temples. Each and everyone should get educated at public schools and colleges, irrespective of the caste, religion and gender and sex. Okay. So this is about untouchability. According to Article 70. According to Article 70. And for this, Article 15 also supported. Article 15. That is right to equality. So right to equality also supported. So through this untouchability became illegal in our country India. So this is the first way how resolve the issue. So now let's see another thing, that is right to freedom of cultural and educational rights. Right to freedom of cultural and educational rights. Okay, so according to this right, so those who are minority, so majority people were trying to enforce their laws, their practices and their beliefs on the minorities people. They are wanted to remove their practices, their cultural knowledge. Okay, so the rights provided by the Indian Constitution, that is right to freedom of religion and cultural and educational rights. So accessing such rights, Muslim community and Paris community, so they preserved their cultural rights, they conserved their cultural rights, so they protected their traditional cultural knowledge. Okay, so this is about cultural and educational rights. Muslim community and Parsi community, so they protected their cultural rights. They protected using right to freedom of religion and cultural and educational rights. Cultural and educational rights. Okay, in this way they addressed the issue. So now let's see how laws and policies are made. How laws and policies are made. So not only listening the class, please note it down. So what are the laws and policies? Policies were introduced for the development of the marginalized people. Okay, the first one will be so majorly laws and policies are will make for the improvement of the people. Okay, for the sake of the people, so to develop from them. If any inequality taking place in that society, so to remove that by providing some special support to them. Okay, to provide the equal opportunities for them. So laws and policies are made. So now let's see social equality. So making laws for the social equality. Okay, so the example, so So because of this untouchability and because of the marginalization, so many people were deprived. They lost, many people were struggled for the basic amenities. So while they were struggling for the basic amenities, how they will access the education? Many are, for the sake of food, they are forced them to work. So if child went for work, then how he will access the education? So because of that, a scheme was introduced by the state, that is, so providing free residential hostels. So the Dalit child will came from far distance and they will take rest and study and prepare. So thus, because of that scheme, for the Dalit students, they are getting the support. So in this way, Constitution providing the equal opportunities, okay, to access the equal opportunities like other people. Okay, the scheme is free residential hostels. Free residential hostels for the SC and ST people, and there are also BC welfare hostels too. Okay, so this is the scheme to provide the social equality. And second most controversial topic, controversial law or policy, that is reservation. So reservation. But before going to understand reservation, we need to know the background. So because of the marginalization, whether it might be the Dalits marginalization, or whether it might be the Muslims marginalization, or whether it might be the Adivasis marginalization or minorities marginalization. Because of the marginalization issue, many people were deprived, we all know that, and many people were lost to the opportunities, and they didn't access basic resources. So in this way they completely becoming low. Okay, so they are just struggling for the basic needs. Then how they will fight for the competitive exams? And parallelly, there are some other people, those who are in majority, and they are taking the upper hand. They are holding the power of money and financial power. Because of the money, they are grabbing the opportunities and facilities. So they gradually improving their standards of living. So while these people were standard of livings were downing, these were gradually increasing. Okay. Now let us see. So from this background, there's one child, and from this background another child. Let us name it as A, and here name it as B. So if A and B attend for a competitive exam, so because of their economical and social conditions, they provide high quality of education, coachings and tuitions, and extra efforts by the teachers. But here, even parents are trying to make him drop out because of the family conditions. So in such hardships, he continued his education. There is no support of mostly educated teachers. There is no support from the parents because because of the illiteracy. So alone he was raised from such conditions, and they both are competitive for an exam. So let us guess. Obviously this person will take upper hand. And if it happens, richer becoming richer and poorer becoming poorer day by day. So to avoid such conflict, so to avoid such issue, to develop our country India, equality should be happen. So because of that, reservations were introduced. Okay friends? So because of that, reservations were introduced. Reservations were introduced. So now let's understand what is reservations. So reservations means, so it will provide support, so those who are backward, okay, those who are deprived, those who are economically back. So for them, so it will provide the support. Central, they have their own list regarding the caste. So which caste involved in which reservation category, okay, which reservations category, and state will have, so which caste will comes under which category. So if that caste people apply for any administrations into colleges or medical colleges or into jobs, public jobs, so because of that reservation, they will benefit. They will provide support from the government, that is from state. So in this way, so those who are unequal, so state or the constitution trying to make equal. So in this way, balance will be created. So if equal takes place at every domain, then our country India will develop. So thank you friends. This is all about today's class.